Which story did you like, Frank? What was your favourite of all the picks today?
The Tuchel one. I would say that it's pretty impressive to see 6 games, 18 goals, no goals conceded. It's pretty impressive. Even if we all expect to see England doing well every World Cup for the past 4 or 5 World Cups. We see, or maybe that's the year for the new generation, that golden generation, the perfect generation, and it's always something blowing out all the expectations. So far, so good. I had some hesitation saying that was a good choice to get Tuchel as a German coach heading the English almighty team. But so far, so good. So you have to congratulate the coach, congratulate the players. The chemistry seems to work. Until then, hopefully for the English, until the next final of the next World Cup.
Ali?
Well, the greatness of Cristiano Ronaldo is undeniable, and these numbers that just keep coming about. Every time that he scores a goal now, it seems to be some sort of record that is broken, and he's not tired of it. I think he may be the only person in the world who's keeping up with all these records, other than Gab, so that he can include him in this list, but it is impressive to see. And the fact that he has changed who he is as a player and has now become an instinctive number 9 striker, and that has been the case over the last, I would say, 3 or 4 years, if not a little bit longer. How he has evolved and changed who he is as a player and what he is as a player and continues to produce at this level, I honestly didn't think that this was going to be the case following the last World Cup, but it's undeniable. As I just said, it was the opening comment that I made. Cristiano Ronaldo is undeniable. And until he chooses to walk away, apparently nobody else is going to tell him to walk away. Nobody's going to tell him, no, you're not part of this national team. No, you're not part of this mix. And why would you if he continues to score goals? As for the Italy thing, when Gab mentions this, I don't know if you sensed it yourself, but I sense there's nerves. There's already this anxiety that is building up. They haven't even finished the group stage just yet, and he's already thinking about how and what are the scenarios by which we're not making the World Cup again. It is a scary place to be if you're Italy, because if Gab is thinking it, what about the players? What about the federation? What about the coaches? What about the fans? I'm sure he's not the only one thinking about this.
Oh, lots of negativity.
Not at all. Where's the negativity? That's not negativity.
All right. Make sure to check out the next edition.
Hold on. Is your husband nervous about it?
Oh, yes.
A little.
Okay, well, there you go.
Yes.
Understandably so, after the last 2 playoff debacles. Yes, let's see if Gab does talk about Cape Verde and give them their flowers on the Gab and Jules Show. Check it out twice a week, wherever you get your podcasts. We're looking forward to the first big one of the season.
We are indeed, Kay, and particularly after that stirring trailer there, Derek. What you can do with your voiceover, I'm gripped already after that.
I'm glad that you found it stirring, so there we go. And we hope it's going to be a stirring match on Saturday. It has been in the last couple of years when you think about, last season in particular, a pair of scoring draws, excitement until the end. And yeah, it's not Celtic against Rangers or Barcelona against Real Madrid or Galatasaray against Fenerbahce in terms of the actual rivalry, but it's something very special still.
And if we look at the most recent results there, you've alluded to it there, the fact that Dortmund have been able to start saying to Bayern, hang on, you're not going to have it all your own way every single time, is helpful, I think, to this game as a spectacle as well, because there had reached a point over the last few years where you were thinking, well, I know what's going to happen here.
Yeah, if you look back to, say, 2019 until 2023, it was very much Bayern's time. But that trend has been reversed, and Dortmund know what it is to win in Munich too, which I think can't be overlooked. And I do like this sort of labelling of the game as perfect Bayern, and they have been perfect so far with 10 wins in all competitions, against unbeaten Dortmund. And let's not overlook that, because unbeaten since the start of the season, a couple of wobbly games, you might say, in there, St. Pauli PSV and Juventus, but they're doing it in a minimalistic way under Niko Kovac, not necessarily with attacking fireworks, but a lot of grit and determination and organisation. Adeyemi wasn't great, and we were talking about this off air. He's either very good or sometimes not so great. Wasn't great against Leipzig in the last match.
Exactly. Quoting the great Italian general of midfield there, current national team manager of Italy, Gennaro Gattuso, albeit a little bit of a change you've made there. Thank you, Derek. I want to come back to something you said there. Nuisance value. I feel that, we talk about XG. I think NV, I think, could be a good new thing.
Could have a future as a stat.
Because also, actually, I would say that in terms of the Bayern stakes in the newly created NV nuisance values stake, I would say that Konrad Laimer's pretty high up there. Just behind probably Harry Kane.
Well, here's another stat for you. Laimer is the leader for Bayern in terms of setting up shots. This is a new statistic that we have, so you can track who's actually setting up the shots or the attempts. Laimer, number 1 for Bayern, number 2 in the entire Bundesliga from a fullback.
Yeah, fullback seems generous given the way he marauds up and down that line. So, moving then to where you see this game being won and lost. Because, look, let's face it, Bayern are going to have the majority of the ball. But I think that Niko Kovac managing any team equals a certain preparation for we're not going to have as much of the ball. And you know what? We're okay with that.
Yeah, if Dortmund are going to win this game, it will not be by out-Bayerning Bayern. That's not going to be the recipe for their success. They are going to be sitting fairly deep, not too deep. There's always that balance you have to strike, but fairly deep with their back 3, which will doubtless become a back 5. I think the midfield, we used the word improvement earlier for Bayern, the midfield has greatly improved for Dortmund, and Kovac just spoiled for choice. Marcel Sabitzer is the face of that midfield improvement, and then they have to rely on the transitional moments in the game with Adeyemi front and centre there. So it can be done. Bayern are going to do it their way. They're going to have more of the possession. I think we know that. But what we haven't seen from Bayern this season in comparison with, say, last, these sort of little slack moments that sometimes creep in. Remember a game against Frankfurt last season where slack moments crept in. Barcelona and the Champions League last season. Not so much from Bayern this time. So Dortmund are going to have to be really resourceful. They don't create an awful lot, but they do take their chances and they do know how to defend. This is going to be fascinating.
It will be, Derek. Thank you very much for now. Okay, there are only 4 points separating Bayern and Dortmund. It is crucial for Borussia Dortmund's, I would say, smallish title hopes that they get 3 of them back at the weekend. If they don't, as I know a certain Ale Moreno has said, this could be good night for the title race.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much, guys. We'll say good night to you and let you get some rest. Big weekend ahead for the boys. It is the big one. It's the Klassiker, Bayern Munich taking on.
It's inaccurate. I would have said good night. So.
Sorry, forgot you.
Yeah, okay. I'm just saying.
Do not doubt German with Ali.
No.
All right. Yeah, lots of action for you in the Bundesliga coming off on ESPN Plus this weekend. Good win for the United States. Their first comeback win for Pochettino's USA. We had Alejandro Bedoya joining Football Americas last night. Here's his take on what he saw.
I thought it was another great exercise. I think overall this window, the U.S. national team can go away with their heads held high. Great exercise for all the guys getting reps and opportunities. This is a different type of opponent than it was previously against Ecuador, right? This is a team that sits back a little bit, is waiting for you to attack them. So the U.S. was able to obviously dominate in possession. Overall, I thought there were some definitely standout players that helped their case. I think one for me that stuck out was Roldan. Normally typically a guy that we think about his defensive abilities, but he was able to get on the ball and get a couple assists on, obviously the first goal was a great step by Chris Richards, who is definitely captain material for this team. Setting the tone, wins the ball up to Weston McKennie, who was another strong candidate for man of the match. He had a great game as well. So we needed to see some of this stuff. I think Pochettino was able to figure out a few answers here as well from some players in this window. So, but tonight was definitely a good test for a team. This is Australia's another team that's going to be in a World Cup and a type of team that the U.S. men's national team will be seeing. A team that maybe sits back in a low block and so what do you do in possession to try to break teams down? I would have liked to see a little bit more interlinking play. I thought in the beginning there was a little bit of struggle in terms of too many guys checking to the ball. You know, when you're playing with the back three in a build out, I'd like to see one of those outside center back maybe take a little bit more risk to go forward to bring Australia guys out and maybe find more balls in between the lines and in those spaces. But the result, they got 2-1. They won. So I think this window gives a lot of U.S. men's national teams a lot more optimism going forward. So great window.
Sure to hear more from Bedoya and the boys. Football Americas is streaming now, reacting to.
Does that mean that we have to hear from Seb as well? Because
yes, you do.
That's a tough choice.
Wherever you get your podcasts, and make sure to check it out wherever you stream your shows.